It's more complicated than you think. Have you ever stumbled across an old map or a history book and seen names like Ceylon, Burma, or Zaire? These were once the very real names of countries we know today as Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why does a whole country decide to change its name? Is it a fresh coat of paint after a messy political breakup, a declaration of independence, or a deeper cultural yearning to reconnect with an ancient identity? The reasons, as we're about to find out, are as diverse and fascinating as the countries themselves. Here at Dadi, we love digging into the stories that shape our world, and the story of a nation's name is often a condensed epic of its history, its struggles, and its aspirations. It's not just a label on a map, it's a statement. It can be a powerful symbol of a new beginning, a way to right historical wrongs, or even a strategic move on the global chessboard. Sometimes it's about internal unity, other times about external perception. It's a complex tapestry woven from threads of politics, culture, revolution, and sometimes even just a desire to avoid being confused with Switzerland. So, get ready, because in this video, we're embarking on a cartographical and historical adventure. We're counting down our top 10 countries that changed their names, and with each one, we'll be peeling back the layers to uncover the often dramatic, sometimes controversial, but always fascinating reasons behind these transformations. From Asia to Africa to Europe, these name changes tell us so much about how nations see themselves and how they want to be seen by the rest of us. Let's dive in. Alright, kicking off our list at number 10, we have the island nation once widely known as Ceylon, a name that, for many, conjures up images of rolling green tea plantations and a certain colonial charm. And indeed, tea was, and still is, a massive part of its identity and economy. The name Ceylon itself has a complex etymology, passed down through various colonial powers. The Portuguese called it Cheilão, the Dutch Zeeland, and the British, Ceylon. It became synonymous with the island under British rule, which lasted from the early 19th century until 1948 when it gained dominion status. But a name given by outsiders, however familiar it becomes, doesn't always sit right with a nation forging its own path. The journey to independence was a long one, and with it came a growing desire to reclaim and assert a distinct national identity, one that resonated more deeply with its pre-colonial history and its majority Sinhala population. The ancient Pali and Sanskrit name for the island, Lanka, meaning island, had been used for centuries in local parlance and historical texts. The prefix Sri, an honorific denoting resplendence, holiness, or prosperity, was added to give it a sense of dignity and auspiciousness. This wasn't just a cosmetic alteration, it was a profound statement about self-determination and cultural heritage, a linguistic decolonization, if you will. So, in 1972, when the country adopted a new constitution and formally became a republic, the name was officially changed to Sri Lanka. This was 24 years after gaining independence, a period that allowed for reflection and the consolidation of a post-colonial identity. The shift from Ceylon to Sri Lanka was a symbolic severing of the final colonial ties, a way for the nation to say to the world, "This is who we are, on our own terms, rooted in our own rich history." Next up at number 9, we delve into a name change that remains contentious to this day, Burma to Myanmar. This Southeast Asian nation, rich in history and culture, bordered by giants like India and China, has a story where the name itself became a political football. For centuries, the land was known by variations of Burma, derived from the Bamar people, the dominant ethnic group. Under British colonial rule, Burma became the official English name, and it stuck even after independence in 1948. It was the name under which the country joined the United Nations, and was known globally for decades. Then, in 1989, the ruling military junta, which had seized power in a coup the previous year and violently suppressed pro-democracy uprisings, announced that the country's official English name would be changed to the Union of Myanmar. The government argued that Myanmar was a more inclusive term, supposedly encompassing all 135 officially recognized ethnic groups, not just the Bamar. They also claimed Myanmar was the traditional name of the country in the Burmese language. However, this move was, and still is, viewed with deep suspicion by many, both domestically and internationally, as an attempt by an unelected regime to legitimize its rule and assert a new national narrative. The change was not universally accepted. Many democratic opposition groups, including Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy, continued to use Burma, arguing that the name change was not approved by the people. While Myanmar is now more commonly used internationally, the debate highlights how a name change can be deeply intertwined with political legitimacy, human rights, and the struggle for democratic representation. Coming in at number 8, we travel to the Middle East, to a land of ancient empires and profound cultural influence, Persia. For millennia, the name Persia evoked images of Cyrus the Great, Darius, magnificent art, poetry, and sprawling empires that stretched across continents. This name, however, was largely an exonym, a name used by outsiders, particularly Westerners, derived from the Greek Persis, which referred to a specific region, Pars, the heartland of the Achaemenid Empire. While Persia became the common term in the West, the people of the land themselves had, for centuries, referred to their country as Iran. The shift occurred in 1935, under the rule of Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was a modernizer, keen on transforming his nation into a strong, centralized, and internationally respected state. Part of this vision involved asserting a national identity that was both ancient and forward-looking. He decreed that foreign nations should henceforth refer to the country by its endonym, Iran, which means land of the Aryans. This was not about inventing a new name, but rather about insisting on the use of the name that the inhabitants themselves had always used, a name that spoke to a broader historical and ethnic identity than Persia did. This request was part of a larger nationalist project. By insisting on Iran, Reza Shah aimed to emphasize the country's Aryan heritage, connecting it to a supposed ancient lineage, and distinguishing it from its Arab neighbors. It was also a way to signal a break from a past where foreign powers had often interfered in Persian affairs. Chapter 4, Zaire to the Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1997, shedding a dictator's imprint. At number 7, we turn to the heart of Africa, to a country that has seen multiple name changes reflecting its turbulent history. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, formerly Zaire. After gaining independence from Belgium in 1960 as the Republic of the Congo, often referred to as Congo-Leopoldville to distinguish it from its neighbor, the Republic of the Congo-Brazzaville, the nation experienced significant political instability. This culminated in a 1965 coup led by Joseph Désiré Mobutu, later known as Mobutu Sese Seko. He would go on to rule the country as a dictator for over 3 decades. In 1971, as part of his Authenticité campaign aimed at promoting African culture and shedding colonial influences, Mobutu renamed the country, its main river, and its currency Zaire. The name Zaire was derived from a Portuguese corruption of Nzer or Nzadi, a local Kikongo word meaning the river that swallows all rivers, referring to the mighty Congo River. While ostensibly about Africanization, this move, along with forcing citizens to adopt African names and abandon Western attire, was also a way for Mobutu to consolidate his personal power and create a new national identity centered around himself and his vision. However, Mobutu's regime was characterized by corruption, human rights abuses, and economic decline. When his dictatorship finally crumbled in 1997, with rebel forces led by Laurent Désiré Kabila capturing the capital, Kinshasa, one of the first symbolic acts was to change the country's name back. It reverted to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This was a powerful rejection of Mobutu's legacy and an attempt to reconnect with the aspirations of independence from 1960. Chapter 5, Swaziland to Eswatini in 2018, a royal proclamation for cultural authenticity. Our 6th country takes us to southern Africa, to a small landlocked monarchy, the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. This nation, nestled between South Africa and Mozambique, has a rich cultural heritage, and is one of the last remaining absolute monarchies in Africa. The name Swaziland, much like many colonial-era names, was a bit of a hybrid, Swazi referring to the Swazi people, and land being the English suffix. It was the name under which the country gained independence from Britain in 1968. The change came relatively recently, in April 2018. King Mswati III announced the official name change to the Kingdom of Eswatini, during joint celebrations marking 50 years of independence and his own 50th birthday. Eswatini means land of the Swazis in the local Siswati language. This was not a decision born out of political upheaval or revolution, but rather a proactive move by the monarch to further assert the nation's indigenous identity and shed a name with colonial connotations. It was presented as a return to the country's pre-colonial name. One of the practical reasons cited by the king was the occasional confusion abroad between Swaziland and Switzerland, a perhaps surprisingly common mix-up. But more profoundly, the change was about national pride and decolonization. Chapter 6. Holland to the Netherlands, official rebranding in 2020. It's complicated, but not that complicated. Now, for number 5, we have a slightly different case. It's not a country changing its name per se, but rather a country changing how it wants to be named by the rest of the world. The Netherlands, often informally and for a long time even semi-officially referred to as Holland. This can be a bit confusing, so let's clarify. The Netherlands is the official name of the European country. Holland actually refers to a region within the Netherlands, specifically 2 of its 12 provinces, North Holland and South Holland. These provinces include major cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague, and historically, they were the most economically and politically dominant. Because of this historical dominance, especially in maritime trade and exploration from the 17th century onwards, Holland became a common pars pro toto, a part taken for the whole, to refer to the entire nation. Many people around the world, and even some Dutch people informally, used Holland and the Netherlands interchangeably. The Dutch Tourism Board itself heavily promoted Holland for decades, associating it with tulips, windmills, and canals. This was effective, but it also created a somewhat narrow image of the country. Chapter 7. Macedonia to North Macedonia in 2019. A name to end a decades-long dispute. At number 4, we have a name change that resolved one of Europe's most protracted and sensitive diplomatic disputes, the Republic of North Macedonia, formerly the Republic of Macedonia. When this nation declared independence from Yugoslavia in 1991, it adopted the name Republic of Macedonia. This immediately sparked strong objections from its southern neighbor Greece. The issue was, and is, deeply rooted in history, identity, and national pride for both sides. It's a classic example of how names can carry immense historical weight. Greece argued that Macedonia is a name intrinsically linked to ancient Greek history and heritage, particularly the ancient kingdom of Macedon, famously ruled by Philip II and Alexander the Great. The northern region of Greece is also called Macedonia. Athens feared that its neighbors' use of the name Macedonia could imply territorial claims on Greek Macedonia and an appropriation of Greek cultural heritage. This dispute led to Greece blocking its neighbors' accession to international organizations like NATO and the European Union. For years, the country was officially referred to in the UN and other bodies by the provisional name the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, or FYROM, a mouthful and hardly a satisfying identity. After nearly 3 decades of deadlock, a breakthrough was achieved with the Prespa Agreement, signed in June 2018. Chapter 8. Siam to Thailand in 1939 and again in 1949, land of the free, name of pride. Our bronze medalist at number 3 is Thailand, a nation in Southeast Asia renowned for its beautiful beaches, ornate temples, and vibrant culture. For centuries, this kingdom was known to the outside world primarily as Siam. The name Siam has a somewhat obscure origin, possibly from Sanskrit, Pali, Mon, or Khmer, and was largely used by foreigners. The local people referred to their country by various names, including Muang Thai, meaning land of the Thai people. Siam was notable for being the only Southeast Asian nation to avoid European colonization, a source of immense national pride. The first official change to Thailand occurred in 1939. This was orchestrated by the government of Prime Minister Plek Phibinsongkram, a military leader who promoted a strong nationalist ideology. The name Thailand, Prathet Thai Prath Saithi, literally means land of the free. This change was part of a broader campaign to modernize the country, promote Thai cultural identity, and foster national unity. It was also seen as a way to align the country's name with the majority ethnic group, the Thai people, and to assert its sovereignty in an era of global political shifts. Chapter 9. East Pakistan to Bangladesh in 1971, a bloody birth, a new identity. Taking the silver at number 2 is a name change born from war, struggle, and the assertion of a distinct cultural and linguistic identity, Bangladesh, formerly known as East Pakistan. The roots of this change lie in the 1947 partition of British India, which created the independent nations of India and Pakistan. Pakistan itself was a geographically peculiar creation consisting of two wings, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, separated by over 1,000 miles of Indian territory. While united by religion, Islam, the two wings were vastly different in language, culture, and ethnicity. East Pakistan, predominantly Bengali-speaking, soon found itself politically, economically, and culturally marginalized by the dominant West Pakistani establishment. Grievances mounted over issues like the imposition of Urdu as the sole national language, economic disparities, and lack of political representation. The Bengali language movement in the early 1950s was a pivotal moment, sowing the seeds for a growing nationalist sentiment. When the Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, won a landslide victory in the 1970 general elections on a platform of autonomy for East Pakistan, the West Pakistani military leadership refused to hand over power. This refusal triggered a brutal crackdown by the Pakistani army in March 1971, leading to the Bangladesh Liberation War. It was a devastating conflict, marked by widespread atrocities and a massive refugee crisis. Chapter 10. Rhodesia to Zimbabwe in 1980, from colonial vestige to African symbol. And finally, our #1 country that changed its name, a transformation that symbolized the end of white minority rule in southern Africa and the dawn of a new era, Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia. The territory was named Southern Rhodesia in the late 19th century by the British South Africa Company, led by Cecil Rhodes, a British imperialist. It became a self-governing British colony in 1923, dominated by its white settler population. In 1965, the white minority government led by Ian Smith made a unilateral declaration of independence, UDI, from Britain, seeking to maintain white rule. This move was not recognized internationally and led to UN sanctions. The UDI and the entrenchment of minority rule sparked a long and bitter armed struggle known as the Rhodesian Bush War, or the Zimbabwe War of Liberation. Black nationalist movements, primarily Robert Mugabe's ZANU and Joshua Nkomo's ZAPU, fought against the Rhodesian security forces. The war lasted for over a decade, causing immense suffering and displacement. It was a fight for majority rule, for self-determination, and for an end to racial discrimination and colonial legacy. The name Rhodesia itself became a potent symbol of this oppressive system. Chapter 11. The power of a name, more than just words on a map. So there you have it, 10 countries, 10 name changes, and 10 incredibly rich stories of transformation. As we've seen, these weren't arbitrary decisions made on a whim. From Sri Lanka reclaiming its ancient identity to Zimbabwe shedding the last vestiges of colonial rule, and North Macedonia finding a path to international cooperation, each change reflects a nation's evolving journey. These names are like historical markers, telling us about political shifts, cultural awakenings, hard-won independence,